Hey, what's going on? So I was going to do a video on Kaido's devil fruit powers. However, I don't feel the script is up to par. I really need to go back and refine some things within it. So I'm not going to be releasing a Kaido devil fruit video today. But what I will be doing is telling a story. Just I don't know what story I'm going to tell yet, but how about this? We'll get personal. So October 10th of last year, 2020, I was woken up in the middle of the night by my mother, um, and she was shaking like violently, having like a full blown panic attack. What had happened was she had gotten a call from some police officer, and she was told that my sister died. Stay with me. It's gonna be dark for a bit, but hopefully, some of the things I've learned throughout this grieving process for me, and you know, just some of the things I've learned can hopefully maybe help someone else through their grieving process as well. So my mother wakes me up, shaking violently, having a panic attack. She tells me my sister died. She goes to have a cigarette. I go to take a piss because it's the middle of the night, and I piss like a diabetic. What she said really hasn't hit me yet. My sister having died had not hit me yet. I was just going to the bathroom, and it's like whatever. We'll deal with this in the morning because I'm in that tired mindset where it's not processing. Everything's processing a bit slower because it's fresh out of a sleep. I finish going to the bathroom, come back to my bedroom, and my niece, who's the most adorable little 6 year old, she drew me a picture, and it said, "Fucking, do I have it? I think I still have it. I'm sure I have it somewhere." But she drew like a dinosaur or whatever, and it said "I love you" on it, and she put it on my bedroom floor while I was sleeping, and I didn't even notice when I got up to go see what my mother was, um, you know, reacting to, and then I saw my niece's picture on the ground, and I just started fucking weeping. But how do I walk through this? After I saw that, after I cleaned myself up a bit, I calmed down, wiped my face down, took some tissues, dried off my eyes. I went outside to see my mother, who was still smoking. I'm sure she smoked like 4 cigarettes in a row. But her daughter died. We just sort of stood there quietly. She was very much distraught and crying while smoking. I think the timeline is somewhat of when I was in the bathroom, she maybe called my sister and told my sister, my other sister, I have two sisters. And then she went inside to call her mother, my grandmother. And what had happened was, as she was calling my grandmother, I went to call my father, who had already been informed by my sister that my other sister had passed away. One thing that I remember clearly was I called my father to let him know that my sister had passed away. To say there was a frog in my throat doesn't put it clearly enough because I could get the words out, but every time I got the words out, I would just start, like, I couldn't say it clearly. And I couldn't stay on the phone, and I didn't want to stay on the phone because whenever I have an emotional period, wherever I need to cry or whatever, I want to isolate. I'm like a feral cat that's dying. I go and I find a corner where no one else is, and I just die. That's where I am emotionally. um, so I had to hang up on my father a few times as I was trying to talk to him. But luckily, he had already been informed of the situation by my other sister. So at this point, it's like maybe 3 a.m. Um, so we're just awake now. My niece doesn't know anything. She's asleep in the other room. My mother is just distraught. She calls. I'm pretty sure she calls back the police officer or the sheriff or whatever to figure out what's being done with you know the body, and what do we do from here? How do things proceed? And is there an autopsy? What is standard procedure? Because we haven't been through this. I don't quite remember what happened. I think we just sort of went into a a status of living where you just sort of exist for a bit, where you don't plan out life or think about life or what's happening next. You just sort of, you have to exist and just take everything as it comes at you one step at a time. Because with such a big shock and change in dynamic, there are a lot of factors and a lot of nuances to it in how you want to handle certain things. So my niece, her mother just passed away. How do we handle that? Uh, well, I'm pretty sure we waited on it a few days before we told her. Such a shock really does change you as a person. There's so much that happens at once that you can't really take it all in cle- clearly. My mother handled most of like the arrangements, like the calling up the funeral home, and the scheduling of. We had my sister cremated, so the scheduling of like having her cremated and the service and whatnot. My sister Ashley, she's the alive one, the one that did not pass away. My sister Ashley and I, um, we sort of adopted the backbone for our mother, because she's very distraught at this point in time. She's very vulnerable, and everything's very difficult, because it's a very serious loss that she's faced, and that we've all faced. Around my mother, it's very clear my sister and I were putting on an act of being, bigger than the situation or stronger than the situation than we actually are. If everyone is just sad and sitting around being sad, nothing good comes of that. Nothing good can come of that. So at least we have to try to be, you know, somewhat of functioning human beings. So because I was trying to be that strong person, that person that's giving off an aura of everything's gonna be all right in the end, because I was doing that, I wasn't taking time to truly process the situation, I don't think. So what had happened was my sister passed away. We made all the arrangements, and then all this stuff happened. My sister was scheduled to be cremated on a certain day. I wasn't really crying at all. The only time I really cried during this whole process was the night that I found out my sister had passed away. So I hadn't really cried at all throughout this. So I very much had been bottling up the emotions and just pushing him down to be the man of the house or whatever. But to be like a backbone, to be a functioning human in an otherwise group of sobbing individuals. So I'd say about 4 5 days later, after we found out my sister passed, my mother goes to see her body one last time before she's cremated. And then I didn't know she was doing this. I assumed she was just going to see the funeral home and make arrangements and learn that. So she went to do that with my sister. She went to do that with Ashley, my non-deceased sister. And anyway, it turns out they had the body at the funeral home and they were ready to cremate. So, as a way of getting final closure to those who need it, they allow them to see the body and say goodbye or whatever. And my mother got to see the body, for the first time, because she got to see the body twice, to get that last bit of closure. So she got to see the body because it was at the funeral home, and then she called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to, like, see the body to get closure and whatnot?" This was a very this situation right here, this like opportunity gave me it scared me for some reason. I mean, I think I understand the reason why it scared me. But what had happened was she gave me that option, and I just wasn't sure of what to do because, well, if I see the I had been sort of acting like this wasn't happening. I was acting like this strong character. I was pretty much living life as if everything was normal. So to see the body would be me then going into a situation where I have to acknowledge the reality of the situation. And and that very much scared me. There was also the well, what if I see the body, and what if it, do I want that to be like the last image I have of my sister, or or do I want to just say, this, you know, do I want to just hold my breath and, you know, just be fine with not seeing her body one last time? And that was a very much that, for a good 15 minutes maybe, I was struggling with that question, and I was pacing back and forth, and really I just didn't know what to do. Inevitably, I went to go see the body because I talked to Ashley, my sister. Why do I have to keep calling her my sister? I've made this clear already. I've talked to Ashley, and she told me about our aunt who had her uh, partner pass away, and she didn't go see the body, and she sort of regretted it. So I figured finally that I should at least go see the body, just to ensure that there's no real regret from not seeing it. If the regret comes from seeing it, then that's a bit of a different issue. Looking back on it, the idea of, oh, what if I see something and this is the final image I have of my sister? That was, I think that was a way of me talking myself out of going to see it, because I still was trying to be that strong person and not acknowledge the situation. But me going to see her body, I would have had to acknowledge the situation. So I think that was subconsciously my way of trying to get out of living in this reality. It was my way of still staying in my own bubble where I could pretend things aren't happening. Seeing the body, it didn't scar me in some way. Oddly enough, when you have a lifelong of experience, oddly enough, when you have a lifetime of experiences with a person, seeing them in one particular situation does not leave the deepest of images of them. It doesn't become the only thing you see them as. So me seeing my sister's body, it didn't do any of the things I was worried about. It wasn't the final image I have of my sister, because I had a picture somewhere, but I have a whole bunch of memories with my sister. So why would this one instance then replace all the other memories that I have of her? So it very much, like, looking back on it, I was trying to talk myself out of doing it, but ultimately I'm kind of glad I did it, because it gave me a little bit of closure. So my sister passed away October 10th. My mother's birthday is October 16th. Um, so me and Ashley decided to do everything we could to distract our mother from the fact that her daughter passed away 6 days ago. Um, we of course tried our best. It ultimately was a failing battle, but we were trying, because we didn't want our mother to look at every birthday she has from then until the end of time and remember it as, oh, 6 days before this is the anniversary of my daughter's death. We want to try and separate those two things, but so we tried to do that. Uh, it sort of worked, not really. I mean, I made her a cake. We got her some presents. We really tried to just distract her. We didn't talk about it. I don't remember what the date of the service was, but the service was, it was whatever. The service was less for me and my mother and Ashley, my sister, and it was more for the other people in Amber's life that loved her, that maybe weren't as close to her as they would have liked to have been. maybe lost touch within recent amount of time or grown apart. It's mainly for those people. Whenever you have a service, I think. Um, anyway, I don't know what. It's just a story, guys. I'm sorry if I'm rambling. Yeah, after all that happened, now is when the fun part starts of grieving and learning about myself. So, both of my niece's parents are now dead. For the last year, I have been raising my niece with my mother because before my sister passed away, she was not. She was uh, essentially part time in my niece's life for a reason. Maybe I'll talk about that at some point. But so essentially, my mother and I were raising my niece together for the most part for the past year. Now my sister has passed away. 2 years prior, my niece's father passed away, so she's now technically an orphan. For all intents for all intents and purposes, I'm her father figure, and my mother, my niece's grandmother, is going to become her motherly figure in life. So now I've been doing a lot of introspection after the service, and just I'm trying to become the best version of myself that I can be, so I can properly uh, influence this child to not become a serial killer, so she doesn't end up damaged. So one thing I sort of figured out, um, which that helped with the grieving process, is I know that my sister loved me, and I know that my sister knew that I loved her. So with that sort of being said, I can't really complain and be like, I wish I had. There was more I would have loved to say, but when it comes down to brass tacks, that's all we could really ask for is that bit of closure. Is just know that my sister knew I loved her is good, and to know that she loved me is good, and that's all I could really ask for as human as a human. Yeah, if you've lost a loved one, do you know that they love you, and do you also know that they know that you love them? Because that's something that really has just helped me a lot. You know, not every whenever someone passes away, it's never fun. Of course, it's never fun. It's never a situation where there's 100% closure and you've said everything you want to say, and there's always going to be more you want to say. There's always going to be that last but wait, what about, and you know you're not going to get to say it, and that's fine. But do you have the knowledge that they know that you love them, and do you know that they loved you? That seems to be a good point of closure, I guess, for me. And well, hopefully that information helps out someone else. I don't know. I feel like I've been rambling for a while, just talking for a while. So I think I'll end it here. Hopefully that last bit of information helps someone, if at all. Um, and let me know if you want to hear more. I'd be glad to talk about my self introspection, fixing, improving myself journey that I've been on for the past 3 months. So yeah, if you like this video, feel free to subscribe. If you want to see me talking to a camera more, go click one of my other videos talking about One Piece Chapter 1000. That's my most recent video. That's my video before this one. And yeah, feel free to give this video a like. I'll see you in the next one on Monday, because I'm uploading it Monday and Thursdays. Mondays and Thursdays. Alright, see ya.